I'd like to be part of that journey in offering chiropractic and great adjustments, but I also recognize that if we're going to be healthy, we got to reduce those 3 T's, the stressors, toxins, traumas, and thoughts.
Yes.
I need somebody doing the nutrition work. I need somebody doing the muscle work. I need somebody doing the head work. Let's be honest, most of us are subluxated between the 6 inches of our ears more than anything.
All right, what's up everybody? Welcome to the DMC Wellness Wave. I'm your host, Matt Dawkins. Every single week we sit down with health-minded growth leaders in our neighborhood to get to know them, but also to take some time to see what they know that can help your family and mine grow and get healthier. Get and stay healthy, that's the goal. So today I'm pumped because we're sitting down with the Dr. David Turner, Impact Chiropractic. He is, how you doing today?
I am doing great, my friend.
I can't wait to talk about you.
Welcome to my house.
But I'm glad you're here. Yeah, he welcomed me into his home. So Dr. David is my chiropractor. My family has been under care with him for about a month now. And I haven't left a formal Google review yet, but I thought, Dr. Turner, that I would share with you that my family's absolutely loving Impact Chiropractic, the whole team. And with Dr. Turner, Dr. Paola, and especially my kids. You know, you're the Grand Strand's premier pediatric and prenatal chiropractor, and we felt a difference as soon as we walked through the door. So, and I did want to say, just specifically with my 3-year-old, he turns 3 on Sunday, by the way, little Gideon. You know, we have worked with him for the last year with some sensory disorders. He's been a little delayed in speech. Some of his, motor skills are a little delayed, and so we've been working with occupational therapy, speech therapy, behavioral therapy for months. And I'm telling you, day one of getting an adjustment at Impact Chiropractic with Dr. Turner, immediately he's sitting differently, he's talking more, he's showing an emotion in his conversations. And mom and dad were a little emotional when we were thinking about, man, what have we been doing? So if that's not a raving review for Impact Chiropractic, Dr. Turner, we're excited to get to know you a little bit better. You okay with that? Ask you 3 or 4 questions?
Absolutely, and thanks for that introduction, because I can't tell you how much of an honor it is to be able to see full families, first and foremost, and watching little Gideon come out of his shell in our office is phenomenal. So
Awesome. All right, well, so give me some backstory. Let's talk about, what in the world made you want to be a chiropractor? Give us a little bit of your story and then get to that.
Man, that's a good one. Where chiropractic is concerned, I'll say this first and foremost. If you've heard about my story at all, I did not start out in chiropractic. It was not my idea to be a doctor. Well, I take that back. I wanted to be a doctor. I just wanted to be a doctor of fish. So, I graduated from Coastal Carolina University with a marine science and biology degree.
Yeah, well, you're the first person I can say definitively that started in marine biology and landed in chiropractic.
Yeah,
That's
well,
amazing.
I was tired of literally spending my days in the dungeon at LSU, in the basement, if you will, of the stadium. And in that basement of that stadium, I was studying bones from the fish's inner ear, trying to figure out how old these red snapper were. And it was kind of a lonely existence down there. And I realized I was meant for bigger things. I was looking down the trajectory of how long it would take to get a PhD in marine biology, and just went, man, that seems daunting. I was lucky enough to be dating a gal whose stepfather was a chiropractor, and every time we got together, man, the whole family got adjusted. He started adjusting me. I was seeing some of the really amazing science, and he had a great philosophy too. So the science and philosophy of what chiropractic is and what it could be. And let's be quite honest, I saw a future maybe with him. And I said, we need to change. I love working with people. I love helping others, and so I made the shift over to chiropractic. I wish there was some miracle story. I had chiropractic when I was a youngster. The first time I ever hurt myself and hurt my back, but it wasn't some kind of miracle experience. And so, but when I started seeing the potential in chiropractic, I said, man, I think this is a great route. And it gets me to the end game of getting to becoming a doctor, being able to help others, and then the rest has grown from there.
So you've been in the Conway area for 20 years?
Well, I was born and raised in Conway.
Born and raised.
Born and raised. Grew up on
We
6th
won't ask you
Avenue.
how. We won't ask you when you were born.
Well, that's great. But I was born in Conway High School, Coastal Carolina University. Did not move away until I went to Louisiana, and then from there to Chicago for chiropractic school. And unfortunately, my father passed away about a year before I graduated chiropractic school. I wanted to be closer to home and closer to mom. My original ideas was to set up in like a Charleston or Wilmington area, and then just realized that Conway was calling me home. And I opened my practice 21 years ago this March.
21 years. Oh my goodness. And so now I said it earlier, and I feel like, as we're thinking about families watching this, you're the Grand Strand's premier. You're the prenatal and pediatric chiropractor. You've done wonders for my family. You work with a ton of families in the area. But I know we have people that are listening, and when they think about chiropractic, they're thinking about somebody, a patient that has lived a little bit of life, maybe has some neck pain and some back pain, but you're working with kids, you're working with young people, you're working with the entire family. Help us understand the benefits of chiropractic when it comes to maybe someone that hasn't lived that much life and isn't dealing with much pain. Why would they go and see a chiropractor?
That's a big question. I will be completely frank with all of the audience. I did not start out with that vision either. When I came out of school, there's a dichotomy in teaching of chiropractic, some that are more leaning towards what I would call the biomechanical side of chiropractic, and some schools that lean much towards the philosophy of chiropractic. But I believe that chiropractic is a philosophy, it's an art, it's a science. And so through what I would consider to be, learning by error, trial and error, the hard knocks, if you will. When I came into practice, I had what I would consider to be the standard pain-based, symptom-based practice that took care of, anyone and everyone, if you will, if they had a symptom, right? I had that view that chiropractic was alleviating their symptoms just like a Tylenol would alleviate a headache. And it took some willpower to learn some other things and open-mindedness to learn some other things. And quite frankly, it's been a 20-year journey to be confident in the fact that, number one, simply if you have a spine and that spine supports a nervous system, and that nervous system is, we have a motto in our office that you live your life through your nervous system. And I don't want to get technical here or heady here about really what's happening when we deliver an amazing adjustment. But for all intents and purposes, we're attempting to tune the nervous system like you would tune a Stradivarius violin, right? And so, we all have this thing called a life force. Some of our old mentors, even the guy who founded chiropractic, D.D. Palmer, said that there is an innate intelligence within all of us, all human beings. And that's what separates us from things that are not alive, things that are inanimate. And so our nervous system is where we live that life. And one of my mentors said this: our nervous system's job is to perceive our environment. It then coordinates that perception and then controls all of the other processes within our body, right down to the cellular level. And so what we've come to find out is that, when we were taught in elementary school, we got 5 senses, okay? Sight, smell, touch, hearing, and taste. And what they didn't teach us is that we have perception, specifically the way that we perceive where we are in space. We have balance. And so, we have this huge sensory system that perceives the world, and we can, quite frankly, become overwhelmed through that sensation. We can become overwhelmed by the world through all of our stressors, chemical, physical, emotional. And so our job as chiropractors is to look for that one thing or two things that are holding us back from being our best self. And that comes down to that structural frame that supports that nervous system. And so coming back to that idea of tuning a guitar, if we find that the nervous system is holding tension where it shouldn't be, then the nervous system can't be the best that it can be. And so our job as the chiropractors to locate that tension, locate that stress in the nervous system, get movement and pliability and flexibility back into the spine, remove the tension from the nervous system, and then let that innate force do what it's supposed to do to help our bodies be their best, right? And so at the simplest level, kids have a nervous system too, right? So why do they deserve anything different than an adult, a senior citizen, quite frankly, a dog? If you've got a spine, you can be adjusted. I mean, you guys out there in in the world, you may have seen some
We
of
call
the
we call them DMC Nation.
DMC Nation, right? You may have seen some of the Instagram videos where people are adjusting dogs. I had a guy yesterday going, "Is that legit?" And the answer is yes, it's legit. If you have a spine and a nervous system, it's my mission to make sure that it's as clear and free of interference as possible so that you can be the best version of yourself, right? And so one of the other things that was impressed upon me, kids specific, is that because we're processing our world and we're living in a world that we'd like to be less stressful, let's remember where the first stress happens.
Yeah.
Right? And so I had some mentors through the ICPA, which is the International Chiropractic Pediatric Association, who certified me to work with children and to work with mamas, pregnant mamas specifically. People would say, how in the world, why would you want to work with a pregnant mama? Well, number one, we want pregnant mama to have an amazing birth, because think of this, and ladies out there, you may really resonate with this. Guys, we don't necessarily resonate as much unless we were in that delivery room. But if you can imagine what a woman's body goes through during the labor and birthing process to bring a baby into the world, remember that baby's head and neck goes through that exact same process.
And I think about even beforehand, the 9 months of the stress on the spine, carrying a child, and then that spine really needing attention afterwards. So yeah, the stress at birth, but for the mom and for the baby, following that baby's getting out of that ball that it's been in for 9 months,
right,
and that mama trying to learn how to stand again, walk again. My wife has had 4 kids.
Right.
See her come, we call it the fourth trimester, right?
Yes.
That's the
recovery
3, 4,
period
6 months, a year afterwards, the stress on mama that that I wish we could turn back time and we would have had her have that sort of care and attention years ago.
Well, let's remember, that womb, that uterus is that baby's home for 9 months. We want to make sure that the home is a healthy home, and that home is a big muscular organ that works perfectly every time when there's no interference. Well, let's talk about the pelvis. You've got the pelvis, you've got the uterine ligaments. The uterine ligaments attach to and then protect and support that uterus. And if there's tension in the ligaments because of tension in the hips and pelvis, well, then that's going to create a less than optimal home for the baby. So we talk about things like in utero constraint. The first subluxation, and by the way, subluxation is that fancy term for spinal misalignments that are creating tension and disturbance in the nervous system. So that first subluxation can and often does happen in utero. Second subluxation during the birth, traveling down the birth canal, if you're lucky enough to be born through the birth canal.
Right.
If you're not lucky enough to be born through the birth canal, and there's a life-saving intervention called a C-section. C-sections don't come without possible harm and hindrance as well, because that's a lot of force. If you've ever watched even the most natural and healthiest of C-sections.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is what I love about you is you're always teaching, you're always educating. Every time I'm in the practice, every time my kids are in there, you're bringing knowledge. And I think, I've heard it said, my people perish for lack of knowledge. It's not for lack of pills and potions and surgeries and hospital visits, but it's knowledge that we can have and actually apply, and the power that comes from that. So I appreciate that you're always educating. We've enjoyed being under your care, but we're also really excited because we're getting to work together on something really exciting coming up in March, the DMC Family Wellness Expo. And you guys you were the first to say yes. You were the first to commit. You guys have been incredibly generous. We have felt that you guys have had our backs, and this is something that you guys want as much as we do. Yeah. Talk about why something like the DMC Family Wellness Expo coming in March means so much to you.
Well, I can say that, as a practice, spent a long time really trying to articulate and come up with what it is we do best. And we have some core principles that guide what it is that we do. One of those is that we love to create lasting, loving relationships with the people that not only come into our practice as patients, but also with the community members around us. Again, born and raised in Conway, want nothing more than to see Conway flourish. And Myrtle Beach, because I live here in Carolina Forest, so I've got a Myrtle Beach address, but Horry County as a whole. This is home to me, and I have come through some other training, financial training, as a matter of fact, where my financial coach always talked about having this accredited network. And what he meant was, trusted advisors that were maybe outside of his scope. My scope, I want to be the best darn chiropractor, and I want to remove subluxation from all the world, right? But especially the people that we can have the pleasure to impact. but I also know what talents I don't have, right? I like to focus my talents on delivering the best adjustment. I used to be, again, one of the guys that, I talked about nutrition a lot, and it's valuable, right? I used to talk about movement and exercise a lot, and it's valuable, and I do all of those things myself. But I recognize that the more focus I put on those things, I take the focus off of the adjustment. So I came up with this idea that I wanted to create really good community relationships to do the stuff that I don't do, right? And so where this expo comes into play is I'm going to connect you guys with a lot of my accredited network and bring these people to you because, I like to also be humble and recognize that chiropractic is not the be all end all. I believe it's part of the core. I believe it's where we start because, you want to start with the healthy nervous system first. And it's why you mentioned Gideon, for instance, coming back to Gideon's story, you can do a lot of different interventions and therapies. When you add chiropractic, it's like the whole thing comes together, right? And so I'd like to be part of that journey in offering chiropractic and great adjustments, but I also recognize that if we're going to be healthy, we got to reduce those 3 T's, the stressors, toxins, traumas, and thoughts.
Yes.
I need somebody doing the nutrition work. I need somebody doing the muscle work. I need somebody doing the head work. Let's be honest, most of us are subluxated between the 6 inches of our ears more than anything, right? And I just know that that's not me, right? I love.
That's so true.
I love having little therapy rap sessions with some of my people, but it's just not where my time is best spent, and other people can do it better than I can.
Well, it takes a great deal of humility to say that, but also I think that speaks volumes of why more people need to connect with you. And so we want to set you up for success. We're thinking about the families that are watching this that are in desperate need of care, and maybe they don't even know it, but they'd like to have a conversation with you. They'd love to, entertain a consultation, maybe an examination or get under care with you.
Right.
What is the best way for families in our neighborhood to connect with you and get involved?
The easiest way, just give us a call. We're located near Conway Medical Center, right off of 501, just behind the Burger King there at Singleton Ridge Road. That's 210 Singleton Ridge Road. So that way you know how to find us. Walk in and schedule an appointment. That's number 1. Number 2, give us a call. We have wonderfully trained staff who can take care of you. Our number is 843-347-9103. You can also check us out online. We've got a great online presence and a great social media presence. It's www.impactchiro.com. Had to think about that.
Yep.
And then, of course, you can look up Impact Chiropractic on Instagram, Facebook, etc., and just see all kind of the cool stuff that we're doing.
Cool. And we'll make sure we throw all that contact information in the show notes. But we have an exciting next few months as we're building to the DMC Family Wellness Expo powered by Impact Chiropractic.
Can't wait.
You're talking about 40 plus health-minded businesses that are there to give things away and offer incredible deals, let you know who they are. We're doing 16 micro workshops, all with the intentions of educating and inspiring families to get and stay healthy. We're going to have kids activities all day long. This is going to be the highlight event of your first quarter, and we can't wait to see you there. But in the meantime, just know we're going to be hanging out with Dr. Turner several more times because he has an incredible story and a lot more that he can offer in the way of helping you guys get and stay healthy. But in the meantime, let's keep the wave of wellness going, and we'll see you on the next episode.